ecosystem services and goods from the Karnataka state. So this is one part of that study to understand how the landscape of Karnataka has changed temporarily by using the remote sensing satellite data, and also we try to predict what would be the likely consequences with respect to the landscape of Karnataka under various scenarios. So this is a brief overview about the talk. So I will initially try to make you understand what is the landscape dynamics, and I will try to overview about the Karnataka, and also I will try to highlight what is the agent-based land use land core modeling, and also I will try to conclude what is the results we have achieved during this process. So as I mentioned, this is the work done under the Natural Capital Accounting and Valuation of Ecosystem Services, which is funded by the NGFs of European Union. United Nations Statistics Division is the part of the project, and TVR is the leader for carrying out this analysis. So in fact, this is the work was assigned to 15 countries, and India is the first country to complete all the 4 modules, and we have provided the paper for doing the National Capital Accounting for the entire globe. So whenever you consider any landscape, which can be viewed as a mosaic of forest and non-forest fragments of land, which can differ from area, and which can also differ from based on the climate and history, and as well as the kind of land use practice at the particular location. So landscape, as it says, is a dynamic component which has a complex ecological, economic and cultural activities which are trying to interact and interchange. Because of this interaction and interconnection, which is forming a strong system called ecosystem, and on which our humans and other life form depends. So we cannot remove the humans and say the ecosystem is complete. Humans are also part of the ecosystem, but we are the one damaging the more and more ecosystems or varied ecosystems. So when you consider the dynamics, so the dynamics represent the same, represent the change. So whenever you consider any landscape gets transition based on the various factors such as physical, biological, economical and social factor. Physical factor may be the shape and texture of the landscape, whereas biological factors, the ecosystem, the living and non-living organisms which are living, which are located in a particular location, and economic activity which is also tend to change the landscape over a period of time, and social activities such as increase in population or reduction in the population, or sometimes abrupt changing in the form of industrialization. All this can influence the landscape transition. So whenever you consider any land use, that whatever the human modified earth surface for the management of the natural resource, or trying to create agriculture spaces or build open spaces within a particular landscape, that can be referred as the land use. Whereas the land cover is a natural cover. Whenever you see a natural forest or natural water body, that can be considered as a land cover, and how anthropogenic induced change can be considered as a land use. So most of the time this will be natural or anthropogenic. Natural changes will have a less impact, whereas anthropogenic changes in the form of urbanization or the construction of the reservoirs or dams, or creating a new transportation network will have higher influence on the landscape. So to account these changes or to understand this further, we require to do a kind of visualization using the geospatial data, because geospatial data provides a synaptic overview about the entire Earth surface, and it also helps us to understand how the land at a particular point of time and how it has transformed over a period of time. So that's where the geovisualization plays a very crucial role in the decision making and also create a various stringent policies. So whenever there is a landscape transition happens, it mainly affects the ecosystem which is available at the regional level. And also it will lead to the globally inducing the changes in terms of the climate through the reduction of the rainfall, or increasing the higher pollution levels, and also increasing the greater temperatures. So each and every impact has a feedback effect, and which can also create an imbalance at the local level. And to understand these imbalances, we require a modeling. So modeling helps us to create a kind of question and understand a scenario-based analysis to make sure that what could be the in reality and what could be the hypothetical situation. What if this particular landscape has been undergoing a transition, and what could be this ecosystem be protected, or how this ecosystem can support the services so that our ecosystem can be in balance. So that's where the modeling helps very crucial role. and modeling also help us to understand the health of the ecosystem and also likely impact of what could be the future of the particular landscape. So that's where the modeling plays a very crucial role. So in order to have a detailed view about the particular landscape, it mainly depends on the remote sensing satellite system, and that's where the geovisualization plays a crucial role. So when you consider geovisualization, it's a kind of set of tools and techniques which we use to visually represent the Earth's surface or the geospatial data which is captured from the satellite or any other means of sources. So most of the time the remote sensing is done through the satellites. There are two kinds of remote sensing that we have very much understood from the chapter 9, where we have understood the active and passive ways of remote sensing. And we have way back from 1970 to today till date, we have the satellites which are continuously capturing the Earth features and which help us to understand the landscape effectively. So along with remote sensing, we have also various other tools and technologies like GIS, GPS, and the spatial decision support system. The spatial decision support system also plays a very crucial role to create a region-based planning. So when you consider the Indian geospatial economy, so our Indian geospatial economy has a footprint of 20,000 crores, and in which the domestic market is around 7,000 crores, and we are also doing the exports of 6,000 crores, and government is also spending around 6,000 crores. And if you look at India's growth, there is a 12 to 15% growth with respect to geospatial technology, and also providing the 5 lakh population as an employment opportunity. So if you look at the projected number, there is a likely $20 billion is the revenue generated from this sector. So this clearly shows there is a large potential with respect to the geospatial economy of India. So, and also if you look at recently, there is a various AI and ML based technique which are integrated with the geospatial analysis. So we put the land use classification or doing some statistical analysis such as regression or other statistical techniques. And we have also various machine learning and deep learning algorithms which can be used for feature extraction. So we can also do a very good feature analysis like 3D modeling, 3D data analysis and image analysis through the deep learning techniques. And also we can also do the modeling with respect to the AI geospatial AI techniques. So that's where the arena has very much widely spreading. So it is also having the advanced technologies also can be considered in the AI and with respect to the geospatial analysis. So these are the various machine learning algorithms where we might use the machine learning techniques to classify the remote sensing data. As you are aware, remote sensing data is an image, so the image need to be classified. So image need to be further analyzed to understand the features. So there are various approaches like supervised and unsupervised approach. So supervised approach where we provide the training data to understand the particular features in the image, whereas unsupervised technique clearly depends on the range of values such as mean or variance of the particular data set, and based on the mean data we will try to form a clusters and we will classify the data. So that's where the unsupervised technique also very popular. So if you look at accuracy of these techniques, supervised classification you might achieve up to 95 to 98% accuracy, whereas unsupervised classification techniques, even with advanced techniques like ISO data or any other clustering, we are able to achieve up to 90 to 90%. Up to 90% accuracy is the what we have achieved. We can achieve up to with the unsupervised classification. So coming back, as I told, we wanted to understand the landscape dynamics of Karnataka. Why Karnataka? Karnataka is a very unique state which has the diverse landscapes. We have the forest which is popularly known as Western Ghats, so which is covering the districts from Chamarajanagar to Belgaum. So this is the southern Western Ghats which is heart of the Karnataka, and we have also drier belt like Bidar, Gulbarga, Yadgir and Raichur, which is always drier districts. We have also moderately rainfall and high ecological areas like the Davangere, Chitradurga, Tumkur and Bagalkot, which is mainly having a good agricultural resources. Whereas we have Kolar and Chikkolapur, where agro-economy also plays a major role to support the Bangalore region. So Bangalore is the city of the Bangalore is the capital city of the Karnataka, which is having a 972 population per square kilometer, and if you take some of the wards, the population goes even up to 10,000. So, but average is around 972, depends on the entire Bangalore average value. So, if you consider the growth rate, Karnataka is growing very with respect to the economic activity, 7% growth rate, and having the GDP of 2 lakh rupees, and which is equivalent to US $3,000, and which has a 6% in nation GDP, which has a population around 684 crores, and the density is around 319 people per square kilometer, and it has a rich biodiversity. It has a repository for 4,500 marine plants, 800 fishes, 600 birds, 160 diverse reptiles, 120 mammals, and 1,493 medicinal plants, and which clearly shows it's one of the hot spots in the Western Ghats of one of the hot spots in the Western Ghats. So the Karnataka plays a primary role to protect this biodiversity. And these are some of the glimpses of the biodiversity of the Karnataka. So we have endangered species, and also we are having a rich hydrological connectivity, and also I can also say Karnataka is one of the lifeline for so many rivers which are flowing towards the east as well as west within the state, and also surrounded by southern Indian states. So when you consider the data used for the analysis, we have taken the diverse satellite data ranging from 1970s to till date. So we have done the analysis from 1985 to 2019, and also we projected what would be the likely land use change for 2038. So under the various scenarios. So we have used the diverse data sets. We have also done a lot of field verification. We have done the field analysis. Also, we have taken the various administrative reports, and also we have considered the survey feeder topo sheets for georeferencing and identifying the various features present on the landscape. So this is the overall method what we have followed for the remote sensing analysis. When you consider any remote sensing analysis, the pre-processing stage forms a very crucial role. So there you try to look at the quality of the satellite image, what you have downloaded, and if there are any errors, you need to correct those errors, and you need to look at the radiometric and geometric corrections. Once it is cleared with any errors, then only we will try to do the land use classification. So initial step, we have also done the land cover classification to understand the forest versus non-forest in the landscape. Then we have done the land use classification to understand how much land is being used for the various purposes in the Karnataka. And we have also do the land use classification. We have used the supervised classification technique, that is maximum likelihood classifier. So which is also one of the machine learning technique people call it as a supervised learning technique. So that is maximum likelihood classifier. And also we have generated the land use classification. And based on this data, we have also used the likely scenario for the future. So we have done the various scenarios. One is business as usual scenario, proposed developmental project scenario, reserve forest protection scenario, and conservation scenario. And we have also used the various constraints for the land use change. For example, if there is a estuary, if there is a lake and reservoir which need to be protected, and there is a very dense forest to be protected, if there is a protected area which should not be altered. So these are the constraints we have considered. And also we have looked at which are the areas likely undergo the transition due to some various factors. So bus stop, like industrial layouts, mining area, railway areas, road network, and also we have also considered some of the industrial activity, and also scope less than 15% is the more proximity factor for the land use transition. So by understanding these constraints and proximity, based on that we have predicted what would be the likely land use change by using the multi-criteria analysis and the Apache AHP modeling. So considering the time limit, I am not going to detail about this modeling. So this paper is available online, you can also download and you can look at it. But when you consider any landscape, the change can be covered by the land use of the particular landscape of the previous time, and also the quantity of the change. So quantity of the landscape transition. So this quantity can be a function of site suitability for a particular land to get transformed, and also the previous land use status and the current land use status, and also the various the factors which try to influence in the form of a probability of change from class 1 to class 2. So if you consider the site suitability, again the site suitability is defined based on the constraints and also the weightages and also the factors which influence in the change. So this is a combination of all these three factors. So consider again for the constraints could be like a slope or protected area or the water bodies or the river network, which can be considered as a constraint, and each constraint will have its own influence. So we have to consider each influence in the form of a binary function which can be ranged from 0 to 1. So sometimes protected area, if it is a protected area exists, the constraint might be up to 0.9 for the landscape transition. Whereas if there is a non-protected area, it will have a less transition on the it has a less impact on the land use transition. So whereas if you consider the protected area, it will have higher impact on the land use transition. So it won't allow the land use to change. So whereas based on this, we have created various binary maps, and we have also normalized these factors from using the GHP. From ranging from 0 to 255, and based on that we will try to find the weightage associated with each factor. Once we have the weightage, so based on these response metrics, we try to understand the consistency ratio between the each land use class, and based on the consistency, we try to predict what would be the likely land use change over a period of time. So then we also verify the consistency of our prediction by using the various matrices like consistency ratio and also the persistency ratio, and also we have tried to understand the random index, and based on that we have verified our model, and if the model is having a good consistency of less than 0.10, then only we have considered that that can be considered for the prediction. So once we have the influence, we are able to predict what would be the likely land use change. Here we have also employed the cellular automata to capture the neighborhood influence, and we have also considered unlike the traditional cellular automata, we have also considered the growth factor as one of the important factors which can govern the land use change. So this growth factor, along with the traditional land use neighbor analysis, which has a higher probability to predict the right land use change over a period of time. So this is a field work what we have done extensively from various Bangalore to other districts. So this is a particular composite and also the various agroclimatic zones, and we have divided, we have visited all the different agroclimatic zones to collect the data, and we try to understand the flora, fauna as well as the hydrological information along with the other team members. So this is the scenario we have considered. One is business as usual scenario, agent-based land use transition scenario, reserve forest protection scenario, and afforestation scenario, and sustainable development scenario. And each scenario has its own constraints as well as the factors which can influence the land use change. So if you look at the factors, we have taken the various factors like bus stop, mines, industries, and railway network, road network. And also we have considered the proposed railway network also, and we have considered the constraints such as estuaries, reserve forest, and also the existing urban area as a constraint and protected areas. And we have tried to understand the relation between each factors and their influence on the land use change based on the distance metrics. So based on this distance measure, we are able to see that which is having the highest influence. So if you consider this particularly, especially the roads have the influence up to 800 meters to 1000 meters. After that, the influence will reduce. Whereas industry will have the higher influence up to 4000 meters, which means around 4 kilometers has the higher influence. After 4 kilometers, gradually it might get reduced. Whereas the road has up to 1000 meters as the higher influence. So based on that, we have created a various weightage metrics, and based on that, we have considered the consistency ratio. If it is less than 0.1, we consider it as a very good for prediction of the likely land use. So this is the ecosystem extent, how the land use was there from 1985 to 2019. If you look at the western portion of the Karnataka has higher forest cover as compared to the eastern portion. Eastern portion is mainly higher agriculture areas. If you look at the Bangalore, how it has transformed from 1985 to 2019, we can clearly see that. Along with that, we can see that there is an increase in urban areas in the Bangalore city, Hubli, Dharwad, and Type 2 cities such as Mysore and Shimoga are growing in a higher pace. So if you look at the evergreen forest, we had around 8% across the state, and which has come down to 5%. And we can see the agriculture increased from 66 to 66.72%. There is a slight change in the agriculture area. Whereas if you consider the built up as less than 0.5%, which has increased to 3%. So 3% across the state is a big number. So that's where we have seen a lot of land use conversion as well as the change in the landscape over a period of time. So this is the land use transition from 1985 to 2019. So this diagonal element shows the consistency between 1985 to 2019, whereas non-diagonal element shows the transition from one land use to the other land use. For example, if you take moist deciduous forest, some of the moist deciduous forest were converted to dry deciduous, and some are even converted to plantation and agriculture and open land, whereas most of the persistent area is only 5,000 hectares. So whereas if you consider the 1985, it was around 10,000 hectares. Today it has even just reduced to around 5,580 is the total moist deciduous forest cover in the region. Whereas if you look at the evergreen forest, which was around 14,292 hectares, which has come down to 10,000 hectares in 2019. So this is also especially the fragmentation analysis help us to understand the likely changes in the landscape. So here we try to understand how forests are getting fragmented because of the land use alteration. If you look at clearly, the most of the interior forests are getting transformed into the open forest or the patch forest or the perforated forest because of the higher interventions. Because of these higher interventions, there is a large scale land transition. So you can clearly see that there is a reduction in the interior forest cover from 60% to 6%. Non-forest cover has increased from 74% to 85%. So based on the change in the landscape, we have also understand the condition of the landscape. So because of the losing the forest cover, we have seen gradual increase in the land surface temperature. If you look at the Karnataka from 2006 to 2018, most of the eastern portions are getting compared year with year. There is an orange color to red color, which clearly shows there is a higher increase in temperature. So there is a if you look at the temperature increase, there is the almost 2 to 3 degrees increase. The latest data of 2022 also 2024 also we analyzed. We have seen the average increment of 2 degrees across the Karnataka districts. So which clearly shows there is a large scale land alteration has influenced even the temperature in the region. So based on that, we understanding the ecosystem status and also condition, we try to predict what would be the likely land use for the 2038. So for that we have done the simulation and verified our analysis and also the accuracy. Once we have achieved a good accuracy and of greater than 0.9, we try to predict the likely land use for the 2038. So 2030. So here we clearly see that with the business as well scenario, there is a Bangalore and its environs and the districts which is connected to Bangalore might have higher urban area. If you allow the all development projects like linear projects and as well as the industrial estate, you will see the higher land use change in the Karnataka. Whereas if you look at the reserve forest protection and afforestation protection and sustainable development scenario, which has the lower influence on the land use transition. So considering these 5 scenarios, so the sustainable development plan scenario represents slightly balance between the forest and non-forest patches transition. So in that scenario, we have suggested sustainable development plan is the most appropriate for the Karnataka. So this work has been also submitted to the government of Karnataka Ministry, the statistical division. So we have also brought a policy paper for Karnataka, so which is available online. You can refer the policy paper also. So this is how the land use sanction, likely land use sanction with respect to the business as scenario and sustainable development scenario. If you look at the sustainable development plan scenario, still we have the scope to retain 5% of the evergreen forest and 3% of the 4% of the moist deciduous and 1% of the dry deciduous forest. Whereas if you consider other scenarios, there is a higher land use transition from evergreen to other forest types. So So and also the other forest might also be transformed to the agriculture as well as built up areas. So which clearly shows sustainable development plan scenario or the afforestation scenario is the only scenario which need to be considered as a policy decision. So we understood how land use transition from 1985 to 2019, we have lost 6% forest cover, and SDP scenario is considered as the most appropriate scenario for the landscape development. And this scenario can help the Karnataka to revive and as well as protect the forest within the region. And we should also have our industries, but at the same time we should not lose our forest to have only industries and make only urban centers. So if more and more urban centers are created without having any logical thinking, then there is a chance of higher calamities in the region. So that's what some of the districts of Kerala and as well as Tamil Nadu are facing now. And because of the continuous floods, we are unable to manage the ecosystem because we have altered all the hydrological regime in the region. So with this, I try to thank everyone. I thank Dr. TVRAMACHANDRA for rescheduling my talk, which was supposed to be happening in the morning. So due to my some personal emergency, I was unable to give the talk in the morning. So I thank TVRAMACHANDRA for providing me the opportunity, and also I thank the others who have coordinated me to do the presentation. If there are any questions, I can try to help you out. Thank you, one and all.
Any questions? Okay, but just now they wrote exam.
Yes, sir.
So they look tired. So
Okay,
we have
yes.
snacks now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bharat, for
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry, I was unable to take part in the morning. Thank you,
No,
sir.
no, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Bye, sir.
So give it the coupon. Okay, if there are no questions, then let us have tea and come back here.
2 minutes.
Another 5 or 10 minutes, we have a group photo and then we can discuss.
2 minutes. Since you
Okay.
So he can get open up.
Did you tell him? Huh? Ready?
किससे पूछेगा?
That's it.
These are the packages runs to about 12 to 18 to industry. And in this business, because of the poor economical condition, we have less pollination. And these are the crop is 6 to 8 years. Now, the government of India wants to double the income of the farmer. What should be? They should just prepare the ecosystem. Surrounding area. Farmers, then they will. That is what they will do. So now I want someone to summarize the
Okay, let us take a break for 10